This is John Sterling, and you're watching Billy the Bat Boy's Corner.
What is going on, guys? Billy Pinckney here alongside MLB agent and CEO of Gaeta Sports Management, Matthew Gaeta. Appreciate you coming on.
Billy, thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, breaking into the industry as an MLB agent, it's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of competition. Talk about your schooling, how you got it all started from the very beginning to then your first few clients.
Yeah, so honestly, I always knew I wanted to work in sports growing up, played baseball competitively, hockey, basketball, those sports. And then ultimately in high school, decided to focus solely on baseball. And then went to college for it, went to NYU and tore my elbow actually. And knew that playing probably was going to be in the rearview mirror after rehab and whatnot. And honestly, just wanted to stay in the game somehow. And lo and behold, I did some research and applied to take the MLB agent exam, created my own company, started out in my dorm room. I was just messaging guys on social media saying, hey, I'm a junior at NYU, just opened up my own agency, passed the agent exam, and that's pretty much how it all started. Was just sitting in class and knowing baseball was pretty much over, but wanted to still stay in the game somehow.
Right. Now, did it really start with younger guys, prospects, and then who eventually ended up making it to the big leagues?
Yeah, so honestly, a lot of the guys that I had in that first year are no longer playing, just because it's tough to get credible status players once you're starting out, especially at that time I hadn't even graduated undergrad. Right. One of my first clients that I signed, Brett Doe, he's actually he introduced me to my first big league client eventually, Nick Anderson. But the guys that I had during that first year are pretty much retired at this point, but definitely gave me the building blocks to be where GSM is at now. So,
for sure. Now, take us through the day in the life of an MLB agent. A lot of people have that perception that it's always on the phone, always talking to teams and all of that. How much truth is there to that?
There is. I think it's a player-by-player basis. It depends if the player is about to be a free agent, if he's arbitration eligible, if he's in trade talks, if he's something contractually from a transactional standpoint as well. That's of immediate importance. But, I mean, it just depends on a player-by-player case. So sometimes I'm literally just talking to the player about their day, about their training, about just life in general. For me personally, the agency is very family oriented. And while there is a high level of importance on the business component of things and contractual standpoint, all that stuff, getting to know my players on a personal level and developing that trust and loyalty enables me to negotiate to the highest of my abilities on their behalf. So during the day, it's really just talking with them on a personal level, understanding what their goals are, understanding what they're going through on and off the field. And then, yeah, depending on the player's status, I'll definitely be talking to teams on their behalf, seeing where they fit, seeing what they need to improve on and all that stuff. But it's a mix. It's definitely not something that you wake up and it's like, okay, I'm going to talk to 10 or 15 teams today. It's whatever just gets thrown at you. You just have to adjust and adapt.
Right. Now, you just kind of mentioned it just now, but the energy that you bring to your profession, it probably, I'm sure, instills this type of trust in the guys you represent, because they appreciate when somebody has their back like that and they're bringing that energy to the table, who they know they're going to do their all to get that great opportunity for them.
Yeah, and that's ultimately why I created GSM, was because it doesn't matter if you were in rookie ball or in the show. My attention is going to be 110% geared towards understanding them from a human element and a professional baseball element, and ultimately creating that trust to where when a contract needs to be negotiated, they truthfully feel that this guy's going to have my best interests at heart. And that's what it's ultimately about. Aside from the dollars and cents, it's definitely making the client feel comfortable that, okay, when push comes to shove, he's going to look out for what I want and not what he wants.
I know another question that a lot of baseball fans have, and sports fans in general, is why does this deal take so long? What's the holdup? And I'm sure there's a lot of little things that go on behind the scenes within the contract, whether it's incentives or different types of clauses. Is that, would you say, one of the main reasons of why sometimes deals drag out a little bit?
Yeah, and again, I think it's really just a player by player basis of sometimes a player knows what he wants. Yeah. And if they get offered that and they want to tinker it a little bit, counter and meet at a midpoint, if it's something that the players just like elements A, B, and C need to be met and the team's not hitting it, then it could get dragged out a little bit. But really a player by player basis, and it usually does come down to whether it be incentives or base salary, or if they're trying to do an extension for 5 years versus 7 years. Each minute element matters, but it also comes down to the player, what the player ultimately wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we can't talk about the collective bargaining agreement, but I do want to talk about this offseason for you. Have you noticed any differences in the way you've entered the offseason? Any challenges that you've faced so far?
Not really. I mean, it's really just been business as usual. Once free agency opened up, we've had about 8 guys sign already, and getting ready for arbitration as well. So, and in terms of a regular off season, it really does seem like that protection is this Friday for guys who are Rule 5 eligible. So in terms of dates that were preset and have been going on for the last few years, it seems business as usual for now.
Right. Now, a few months ago, MLB announced that they're going to be housing players for the minor league players, and that's something that's pretty positive. It's a step in the right direction. How significant do you feel that is in those steps there?
Oh, it definitely is, because, I mean, firsthand and seeing it, guys definitely struggle with finding housing. That's sometimes more of a hurdle than actually playing the game, because the majority of their paycheck is going to rent. So the alleviation of stress of finding a place, then allocating all your income for the month towards paying rent where you might not have enough money to even buy food. I think it's going to help a lot, and it is a step in the right direction, and more steps definitely need to be taken. But as of right now, that's a huge step, and that's definitely something a lot of my players have been receptive of. This is going to help a lot.
Right. Now, I know one of the main parts of that was players were sometimes, if they're traded or if they got called up or demoted, they still had that rent that they had to pay for where they were staying, and it doesn't make sense, really. I mean, if you're not there, why should you be paying for that when the team, when you're playing for a team in a certain city? So it does seem like it makes a lot more sense what they're doing, what they want to do next season. So it's definitely a step in the right direction. But I do want to talk about some of your clients. One guy, Adam Oller, who you've been talking a lot about lately. It's funny because I find guys for the New Jersey Jackals independent team, and I actually spoke to him in 2018 when he was a free agent, trying to get him to come here. And then I believe he signed on with the Giants maybe after that. And so he went on to sign with them, and then the following year, I believe, he played indie ball in the Frontier League. So I thought that was pretty funny. When I saw your postings about him, I was like, wait, the guy sounds pretty familiar. I went to go check him out. Talk about working with him and the kind of future he's going to have.
Absolutely unreal individual in terms of just relentless work ethic. He's been pretty much on a roller coaster of just highs and lows, from being one of the top guys in Division I ERA leader to dropping in the draft to going to Pittsburgh, getting released, and then playing indie ball, Giants, Rule 5 minor league to Mets. Going into this season, we knew that AA rotation spot was pretty much going to be the starting point. And as a 27-year-old who had zero AA time until this year. The expectations were just play within yourself, trust what you've been training for, and go out there and do it. And he ended up being the top pitching prospect in the Mets system, and just a really, really great dude in terms of showing the youth that are following, that want to follow in Adam's footsteps, that you don't have to be a first rounder. You don't have to sign for $5 billion. If you ultimately love the game, have passion for it, surround yourself with people who support your dreams and are going to put their all into you, and you don't waver with that, good things can happen. And fully expecting Adam to definitely have his debut next year.
Yeah, one of those great adversity stories. We see so many of those too. It's great to see. And who are some of the other guys who you feel are ready to break out?
Cooper Hummel, Arizona Diamondbacks. He was traded mid-season this year from Milwaukee to Arizona. Definitely feel like he has a chance to play a significant role next year in the show for the D-backs. Keegan Curtis, D-backs pitcher as well, traded from the Yankees to Arizona. Nathan Webb, right-handed pitcher for the Royals. A handful of guys, honestly, that I have that follow a similar path to Adam, that have definitely overcome the odds to have breakout years. So those three in particular, definitely, including Adam, are definitely four that I'm pinning. We'll have a good year.
Mm-hmm. I know this year you spent a lot of time going out to big league stadiums, seeing your guys in the show. I know how special it is to actually see those guys in person. And the team I'm with, I see guys here and there. You see them make it to the big leagues, and to see where they were at grinding in the minor leagues and being a part of that grind, and then see them in the show, I mean, that's a really special experience.
100%. I mean, I shouldn't say one of my first clients, but he signed on with me early on in the agency, Spencer Watkins, debuted with the Orioles this year. And that was a guy who literally threw a one-hitter at AA with the Tigers, and 2 days later got demoted to high A to make room for a prospect in the rotation. Spencer did anything and everything you could ask for in terms of what the Tigers wanted him to do. He ended up getting released during COVID towards the end of it in summer of 2020. Was ready to become a high school baseball coach, and last-minute effort connected with the Orioles and got him into spring training, that 75-man camp, and just pitched his way onto getting onto the big league roster. And that was something that was truly special, because I saw him at the highest of highs and lowest of lows, where there was times where it was like, am I ever going to catch a break? How do I throw a one-hitter and then get demoted to high A, or at AAA and then send me back down to AA, and I'm pitching well. So he was definitely an org arm that it was special for me to go to that debut. And I mean, he racked up 50+ innings in the show, and he'll be back with Baltimore next year. But out of all the debuts, that definitely was one that stuck out, because he was definitely someone who went up and down a lot and deserved that. So
yeah, you see that a lot too. It's just a numbers game. Sometimes they have prospects in certain slots. Maybe if you're not a top prospect, you might have to spend some more time down in high A, or you might get held back a little bit, and it's tough. That's a tough thing about baseball in the minor leagues, is you might have a great opportunity with a different ball club, but if they don't trade you or move you, it's a tougher chance that you're going to be able to succeed with that organization. But Matthew, I appreciate you coming on. Great stuff, and best of luck in the future.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, it's Tom McCarthy, the voice of the Philadelphia Phillies. You're listening to Billy the Bat Boy's Corner.